Welcome, beloved chosen ones. First, before we dive deep, let me take a moment to say this. To those of you who have generously supported this channel through super thanks, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Whether you give or not, I am truly grateful that you are here. Your presence, your energy, your spirit, that is what fuels this space. We are building this community together, and every one of you matters here. Now, before we begin, I want to invite you into a moment of alignment. If you are ready to claim the divine flow that is already moving for you, if you're ready to step fully into your unstoppable season, drop the sacred number 777 in the comments. Why? Because 777 represents divine completion, spiritual perfection, and God's seal on your path. It is a number of alignment, a sign that you are in sync with heaven's timing. And when you type it, you're not just commenting, you are declaring to the universe, I am ready. Chosen one. Have you noticed? When they couldn't destroy you, they didn't apologize, they didn't self-reflect. No, they simply relabeled you mystical, untouchable, dangerous, because nothing terrifies insecure minds more than a soul they can't calculate. And that's exactly what you've become. Here's a question. What do you call it when you vanish from every trap, slip through every snare, and emerge stronger from every setup, like you were never even touched? Most call it luck. Your enemies, they're calling it sorcery. And deep down, they're secretly hoping you're not from this planet. Here's a fact. According to psychology, when people encounter something they can't explain, their brain enters a state called cognitive dissonance. That's a fancy way of saying they short circuit. They start assigning supernatural reasons to what is actually natural genius, spiritual alignment, and divine protection. And that's why they're staring at you right now. How did they bounce back like that? Why are doors opening for them without selling out or kissing up? Why are they untouched when we threw everything but the kitchen sink, and believe me, we were reaching for the plumbing next? And that's when the whispers start. Witchcraft, dark magic, aliens, luck. Spoiler alert, it's none of the above. You're just chosen. You're just moving in a flow they've never tasted. You are walking in an alignment that they can't manufacture. But here's the kicker. You're not doing the impossible. You're doing what is inevitable when someone is surrendered to divine assignment. But to those still trapped in fear, ego, and small thinking, it looks like you're performing magic tricks backstage with God. So buckle up, chosen one. In this message, we are about to expose exactly why your very existence is freaking people out, how you became their biggest unsolved mystery, and why people who once mocked you now secretly suspect you are on your second life, this time with instructions. Welcome to the show, and no, there's no rabbit in the hat. There is just undeniable power, clarity, authority, and peace that they can't wrap their heads around. Now let's get into it, because once you understand why you move the way you do, you will stop questioning yourself and start embracing just how unstoppable you truly are. God's chosen ones, enemies, look at you like you're Houdini. You do the impossible and scare them. Number 1, your survival was never logical. It was the result of divine, tactical, spiritual engineering. Chosen one, have you ever stopped to wonder why you're still standing? Why, after everything that was thrown your way, you continue to rise when others expected you to fall? Let's be honest, by all logical standards, you shouldn't be here. If anyone else walked through the betrayals, the financial sabotage, the emotional isolation, and the spiritual warfare that you've endured, they would have collapsed long ago. So why didn't you? Why are you still walking with your head held high when they expected you to crawl? Because your survival was never about logic. It was about spiritual engineering, a divine strategy designed by God himself. What your enemies fail to grasp is that you weren't placed in chaos to be destroyed. You were placed there to be activated. Every tear, every moment of heartbreak, every attack became a calibration for the spiritual power inside you. They thought they were weakening you, but heaven was forging a force they couldn't comprehend. Have you noticed how they look at you now? Like you're performing some kind of illusion, like you're Houdini pulling off the impossible. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. This is why the traps they set couldn't hold you. They were up against a divine design, not an ordinary soul. And deep down, they know it. They whisper about you behind closed doors, trying to make sense of how you keep advancing without their approval, without their validation. Consider Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, yet he emerged not broken but stronger, more resilient, ultimately leading a nation toward unity and justice. What kept him whole when so many others would have shattered? The same force that lives in you, chosen one, a spirit engineered for endurance. Do you realize that most people navigate life with intellect alone? But you've been forced to awaken your spirit. That's why you no longer play by earthly rules. The moment you tapped into that spiritual realm was the moment you became unstoppable. And that's precisely when the panic set in. Because now they're dealing with someone who cannot be baited, who doesn't chase validation, and who continues to move forward even when everything seems stacked against them. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:4. So tell me, how could they ever hope to break you when the one who designed you never intended for you to be explainable? You were made to be unshakable. Look at the story of Oprah Winfrey, a young girl who endured poverty and abuse, yet rose to become one of the most influential voices in the world. Was her survival logical? No, it was spiritual, just like yours. And here's what truly terrifies your enemies. Every time they thought they had you pinned, they unknowingly contributed to your preparation. They didn't take you out. They made you more aware, more refined, more attuned to the higher calling over your life. Have you noticed how your instincts have sharpened, how your spirit has grown quieter but stronger? You are no longer reacting. You are responding with wisdom that only comes from the fire. Romans 8:37 reminds you, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Now ask yourself, if this is who you've become during the battle, imagine who you will be after the victory. Because here's the truth. You were never built to be explainable. You were built to be unstoppable, and the fact that you keep doing what should be impossible, that's why they're afraid. Think about Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. His story of surviving the unimaginable is proof that the spirit, when aligned with purpose, cannot be crushed. Neither can yours. So, chosen one, the next time they look at you like you're performing magic, smile, because what they're witnessing isn't an illusion, it's divine strategy in motion. Number 2, they didn't just fail to destroy you, they accidentally polished a weapon. Chosen one, do you realize that every single attack you endured did not break you, it built you? That's the part your enemies can't stomach. They thought their lies, their betrayals, their attempts to humiliate you would leave you shattered. But instead, every wound became wisdom, every blow became strength. You didn't just survive the fire, you were forged by it. Have you ever noticed how you now see through manipulation before it even enters the room? That's not coincidence, that's refinement. While they were counting on your emotional reactions, hoping you would spiral into self-doubt, you chose silence. And in that silence you evolved. Isn't it curious how they underestimated what stillness could do to your spirit? Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:2-3. Chosen one, your perseverance is now your power. What they once saw as weakness has become your greatest weapon. Look at J.K. Rowling. Rejected multiple times, living in poverty, yet she channeled her pain into a story that would inspire millions. Her detractors didn't break her, they sharpened her resolve, just like you. And here's the irony. They didn't just fail to destroy you, they accidentally polished a weapon. They were so focused on your outer circumstances that they missed the transformation happening within. You became someone who cannot be baited, who no longer needs to prove anything, who has outgrown the need for closure. Isn't that the ultimate power to move forward unapologetically, regardless of who tries to pull you back? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. Chosen one, you're not the same version of yourself they once targeted. You are sharper, wiser, more discerning. Your peace has become your shield, and your clarity has become your compass. Consider Malala Yousafzai. After surviving an assassination attempt, she rose to become a global advocate for education and human rights. Her enemies thought they would silence her. Instead, they magnified her voice. Isn't that exactly what's happening with you? And now, the very people who once plotted your downfall are watching you ascend. They see you growing, succeeding, moving with a new kind of confidence that terrifies them. Because the truth is, they didn't break you, they upgraded you. And nothing is more frightening to your enemies than a chosen one who has turned pain into power and betrayal into unshakable clarity. Philippians 1:6 declares, being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Chosen one, your journey is far from over, it's just beginning. And now that you've been sharpened in the fire, you are moving with a force that no enemy can anticipate and no opposition can withstand. So are you ready to embrace the weapon you've become? Because the world is about to witness it. And your enemies, they'll be left trembling, wondering how they ever thought they could stop you. Number 3. You vanished from their grip because they were never holding the real you. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why so many people are baffled by your evolution? Why they sit around whispering, scratching their heads, trying to figure out how you slipped away from their control? The truth is simple. They never had a hold on the real you in the first place. They were interacting with a surface version of you, the version you allowed them to see. Meanwhile, your true essence, your divine core, was always guarded, always protected. Have you noticed how some of them are still chasing shadows of who they think you are, unaware that you've already transcended that space? They will fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you, for I am with you, declares the Lord, to deliver you. Jeremiah 1:19. Understand this, chosen one. Your enemies built elaborate traps for the image of you they thought they knew, but that image was never your true self. While they played chess with a decoy, the real you was already moving silently on a higher board. Isn't it powerful to realize that they could never truly read or control you? Even when you smiled and nodded, you were calculating, discerning, observing their every move. Think of Bruce Lee, not only a martial artist but a philosopher. He famously said, "Be like water. Water adapts, it cannot be grasped." That is how you have moved, fluid, elusive, untouchable. Have you also noticed this shift? The more spiritually aware you've become, the less reactive you are. That unnerves them. They depended on your emotional responses, on being able to provoke you. But now, their games feel juvenile to you. You no longer take the bait because you've outgrown the need for validation or conflict. How could they control someone who is led by divine awareness? The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Chosen one, your stillness is not weakness, it is mastery. And now, as you move silently in purpose, they are left grasping at illusions. Their confusion grows each time they attempt to draw you back into the old games. Why do you think they say you've changed or become distant? It's because you have. You've elevated to a level where their manipulation no longer reaches. Consider Keanu Reeves, an actor known for his peace and quiet strength. Despite fame, he maintains boundaries, guards his private life, and rarely reacts publicly to provocations. That is spiritual discipline in action, the kind you've now mastered. And this is why you appear to have vanished from their grip. They can't provoke you, they can't predict you, they can't pull you into the chaos anymore. You are too self-aware, too spiritually encrypted. They thought they were fighting a version of you that was open and vulnerable, but your soul was never in their hands. Have you fully accepted that now? Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Your guarded heart has preserved your purpose, and now as they watch in frustration, unable to touch the essence of who you are becoming, they're being forced to face a truth that terrifies them. They never really knew you at all, and they never will. Number 4. You do in days what takes them decades because you are connected to a timeless source. Chosen one, have you noticed how fast your life shifts when you move in alignment? How clarity, opportunity, and favor flow to you almost effortlessly, while others are stuck in cycles of struggle. It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's divine connection. You are led by a timeless source, a higher intelligence that accelerates what would otherwise take years. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. Chosen one. While others are exhausting themselves chasing every new trend and strategy, you are moving by revelation. That's why your progress seems to defy logic. People can't understand how you skip steps, how doors open for you without the typical grind. Have you ever noticed how quickly things align when you truly surrender to divine timing? Think about Nikola Tesla, a visionary inventor whose insights came not through trial and error, but through direct downloads during moments of silence and alignment. You too are wired this way. When you operate in alignment with the Creator, you are given access to information others labor years to discover. And this is why your acceleration makes others nervous. They spent decades building empires on ego and effort. You are building yours on faith and obedience. They don't understand that your source is not external, it is eternal. And that terrifies them because it means you cannot be manipulated, bought, or swayed. Are you starting to recognize this spiritual authority rising within you? The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Psalm 37. Chosen one, your steps are ordered. That is why you move with such precision. Your success is not random. It is the byproduct of obedience to a voice they cannot hear. Every delay, every redirection is calculated for your growth. Have you learned to trust that yet? To embrace patience as a prophetic tool rather than a punishment? Consider Elon Musk. Regardless of how one views him, he has disrupted multiple industries, not by following existing paths, but by creating new ones based on visionary insight. His pace is different because he is guided by a vision others cannot see. Likewise, your patience and obedience make you unstoppable. You're not simply moving fast, you're moving in sync with divine destiny. That's why you can walk through doors they couldn't force open in decades. That's why what takes them a lifetime manifests for you in moments of alignment. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Matthew 6:33. Chosen one. You are not just chasing success, you are embodying purpose. And as long as you remain connected to the timeless source, you will continue to do in days what others struggle to achieve in decades. So, are you prepared for the next acceleration? Are you willing to trust the divine process even when it makes no sense to those around you? Because the higher you rise, the more their confusion will grow. And that is the mark of a chosen one who is moving with heaven's blueprint. Number 5. You broke patterns generations couldn't, and that's what really threatens them. Chosen one, do you understand the magnitude of what you've done? Have you fully realized that your breakthrough is not just personal, it's generational? You didn't merely heal yourself, you confronted, disrupted, and dismantled the very patterns that imprisoned your bloodline for centuries. Have you felt the spiritual weight of that calling? Because make no mistake, what you've done is nothing short of spiritual warfare. The Lord will rescue me from every evil attack and will bring me safely to his heavenly kingdom. 2 Timothy 4:18. Chosen one, many before you wore chains of silence, shame, abuse, poverty, and self-sabotage. These chains were passed down like a twisted inheritance. But you had the courage to say, "It ends with me." That wasn't just a nice affirmation. It was a declaration of war. You stepped into the line of fire, armed with awareness, discernment, and unwavering faith. And the enemy hates you for it. Look at Maya Angelou. Her words, her resilience, and her light broke cycles of racism, trauma, and silence for an entire generation. What her ancestors endured became her fuel to rewrite their story. You too are rewriting yours. Have you noticed how your very presence unsettles certain rooms now? It's not arrogance, it's an unspoken shift in atmosphere. You carry a frequency that exposes old dysfunctions. You are no longer bound by them, and this deeply threatens those who still cling to familiar chains. Why? Because you asked the questions your ancestors were too afraid to voice. Why do we normalize abuse? Why do we glorify poverty as piety? Why do we accept dysfunction and call it tradition? See, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. Chosen one, your questions tore through strongholds that had stood for generations. You didn't ask for permission, you were born with the authority to break the curse. And when you began to walk in that truth, your light exposed every shadow still hiding in your family line. Think of Malcolm X, a man who transformed pain and oppression into a legacy of empowerment and truth. He didn't maintain the old order, he dismantled it. That is the same mantle you carry now. Have you sensed the distance from certain family members or old friends? Have you noticed their discomfort in your presence? It's because your evolution shines a light on everything they're still tolerating. You are no longer here to maintain the status quo. You are here to reset the entire frequency of your lineage. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. Chosen one, understand this. You were chosen to be the generational reset button. And yes, that terrifies both the forces of darkness and the people who unknowingly partnered with them. They had generations to choose freedom. You chose it now, and that choice rewrote the spiritual contract for everyone who comes after you. Look at Serena Williams, who broke barriers not just in sports, but in how women of color are viewed in power and excellence. Her daughters now inherit a different legacy because of her willingness to break generational patterns. Chosen one, you are building legacy. What was once normal cycles of pain, lack, and silence will no longer be the inheritance of those who follow you. That's why they are threatened, because you dared to be the one who said enough. And in doing so, you changed everything. Number 6. You're not a mystery, you're a mirror. Chosen one, have you ever walked into a room and sensed the shift? The unease, the sideways glances, the whispered judgments, all without saying a word. It's not because you're strange, it's because you are a mirror. Your very presence reflects back to people the parts of themselves they've buried, avoided, or abandoned. And that makes you dangerous in a world addicted to comfort and denial. Everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. Ephesians 5:13. You are that light, chosen one. You remind people of the paths they could have walked, the healing they avoided, the courage they forfeited. You don't have to boast, you don't even have to speak. Your authenticity alone convicts the spaces you enter. Have you noticed how quickly some people become defensive or distant around you? It's not personal, it's spiritual. Look at Rosa Parks. One act of quiet courage became a mirror to an entire nation's conscience. She didn't shout, she showed up, and in doing so, exposed the injustice many had tolerated. Chosen one, when people mock your boldness or label your confidence as arrogance, it's rarely about you. It's about their own regret. You reflect discipline, healing, and integrity, qualities they abandon for convenience or approval. Your life forces them to face uncomfortable truths. They could have chosen freedom but didn't. They could have pursued purpose but chose comfort. They could have grown but chose gossip. And seeing you thrive reopens those wounds. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Chosen one, your light is not for their comfort, it's for their conviction. And while some will be inspired, others will resent the reflection you offer. That's why they distance themselves, discredit you, or try to diminish your worth. But do not dim your light to soothe their shadows. Consider Michael Jordan. His relentless pursuit of excellence exposed the mediocrity others settled for. He wasn't trying to outshine anyone, he was fulfilling his potential. And in doing so, he became a mirror that forced everyone else to reevaluate their own commitment. You're not a mystery, chosen one. You're a mirror, and not everyone is ready to face what they see in your presence. But understand this, their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your only duty is to keep showing up, keep shining, and keep walking in purpose. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. So, will you continue to reflect the truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable? Will you choose to stand tall in a world that prefers smallness and compromise? Because as long as you do, chosen one, you will remain a force that cannot be silenced, a mirror that demands honesty from every soul you encounter. Number 7. Your peace isn't passive, it's warfare. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why your calmness unsettles so many people? Why your peace, which you fought so hard to earn, triggers discomfort in those still trapped in chaos? It's because they don't understand what your peace truly is. It is not passive. It is not weakness. It is warfare, a kind of spiritual dominance forged through battles that most could never withstand. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. Psalm 29. Chosen one, your peace didn't arrive in a moment of ease. It was born in the furnace of adversity. You survived betrayals, heartbreaks, isolation, and spiritual attacks that would have unraveled lesser souls. Each scar became a stitch in the fabric of your stillness. Now, when others come at you sideways expecting anger, they are met with unshakable calm, and that unnerves them. Have you noticed how your silence can shift the entire energy of a room? Consider Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. Even in the most unimaginable suffering, he cultivated an inner peace that transcended circumstance. That same potential lies within you, chosen one. Your current peace is not a passive state. It is a shield, a conscious refusal to be dragged into petty wars or emotional chaos. You earned this peace through deep spiritual discipline, relentless self-awareness, and emotional surgery that many are too afraid to face. How could anyone mistake that for indifference? Peace, I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John 14:27. Chosen one, your peace is a weapon, one of the most powerful forms of warfare. When others expect you to engage in their drama, your steady presence exposes their instability. Have you seen how people addicted to conflict can't stand your stillness? That's because your calm mirrors their chaos. They are used to baiting others into emotional wars, but you've retired from that battlefield. Think of Nelson Mandela. After decades of imprisonment, he walked free with a heart full of peace and forgiveness that unnerved those who hoped to see bitterness and rage. His peace was a form of warfare, just as yours is now. And here's the truth, chosen one. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to win arguments. You don't even need to explain yourself. Your peace already speaks volumes. Each time you walk into chaos and remain unmoved, you remind the atmosphere that you are governed by a higher power. How can the world shake someone who has anchored their spirit in the eternal? The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. So I ask you, will you continue to guard your peace like the sacred victory it is? Because every time you do, you wage warfare against a world that thrives on noise and reaction. Your peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the refusal to be owned by it. And in this refusal lies your greatest strength. Number 8. You terrify them because you rewrote the script without permission. Chosen one, do you truly understand why your transformation terrifies so many? It's not just because of what you've become, it's because you did it without their permission. They built an entire narrative around who they thought you'd be. You were supposed to stay small, silent, and stuck, a living prop in the story they crafted to make themselves feel superior. But you had the audacity to flip the entire script. Isn't that a beautiful act of rebellion? So if the sun sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. Chosen one, you walked away from the identity they assigned to you, and in doing so you took back your power. They had invested in your stagnation. They counted on you carrying shame. They needed you to remain the one who would always apologize, always seek approval, always play by their dysfunctional rules. But when you healed, when you found your voice, they panicked. Have you seen it in their eyes, that flash of fear when they realized you no longer needed their validation? Consider Eleanor Roosevelt, constantly underestimated and criticized. She broke free of every confining role and became a voice for human rights. She didn't ask permission to become who she was meant to be, and neither did you. Chosen one, the reason your quiet, consistent transformation terrifies them is because it exposes the fragility of their entire system. You didn't ask for a spotlight, you simply evolved. And nothing is scarier to those who feed on control than someone who no longer requires their permission to exist freely. Have you noticed how they now scramble to rewrite the narrative, to paint you as the villain, the rebel, the one who changed? That's because your freedom forces them to confront how small their world really is. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. Philippians 3:13. Chosen one, you rewrote your story, not out of rebellion but out of liberation. You found your pen. You authored new chapters they never imagined for you. And now, no matter how they try to twist the plot, the evidence of your freedom speaks louder than their opinions. Think of Muhammad Ali, a man who refused to play the role society demanded of him. His refusal to conform made him both revered and reviled. He rewrote his script just as you have. And here's what truly terrifies them. They now realize they were never the author of your life. You found your pen, and with it, you shattered the stage they built for your downfall. You are not supposed to be here, in your strength, your truth, your power, but here you are. And each step you take in authenticity is a threat to every system that thrives on silence and conformity. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. So, chosen one, will you keep writing your story boldly, even when it shakes the foundation of those who hope to confine you? Will you continue to walk in your truth, knowing that your freedom is someone else's worst nightmare? Because the moment you chose authenticity over approval, you became unstoppable. Number 9. They can't box you because you are multidimensional. Chosen one, have you noticed how hard they try to define you, to shrink your vastness into a label they can control? This world is obsessed with categories. It wants to put people in neat little boxes. This is who you are, this is how far you can go, this is what you're allowed to express. But what happens when someone refuses to be contained? When someone like you keeps evolving, shedding old skins, and revealing new layers they can't predict? That's when the fear begins, because you are multidimensional. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. 2 Corinthians 3:18. Chosen one, you are not static. You were never meant to be. Every new level of awareness, every spiritual upgrade, every life lesson expands who you are, and that terrifies those who thrive on predictability. Have you noticed how frustrated some people get when you no longer fit the role they assign to you? Look at Leonardo da Vinci, a master painter, inventor, scientist, and thinker. The world could not box him, and it still struggles to define him today. You, chosen one, carry that same spirit of multidimensionality. They want you to be one thing, a job title, a stereotype, a rumor from your past, because if they can name it, they think they can contain it. But every time they try, you slip through the cracks and emerge more powerful, more layered, more free. Isn't that beautiful? What they call inconsistency is actually growth. What they label as confusing is simply you honoring the fullness of who you are. And that fullness cannot be boxed, it can only be witnessed. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12. Chosen one, you are living proof of this truth. Your refusal to conform challenges those who have settled for comfort zones. That's why they feel threatened. You embody what it looks like to move in tune with divine timing, not worldly expectations. You close chapters before they turn toxic. You embrace new callings without apology. Have you noticed how that freedom unsettles those who fear change? Consider Beyoncé, a global icon who constantly reinvents her art, her voice, her message. She is not one thing, she is many things. And that is what makes her powerful. You too are a divine prototype. You evolve because your purpose requires it. Staying still would kill your calling. Have you embraced that truth fully? The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. John 3:8. That is you, chosen one, fluid, dynamic, uncontainable. And the more you walk in your fullness, the more you expose the limitations others have placed upon themselves. You are not here to be marketable. You are here to be miraculous, an expression of what happens when someone follows the source instead of the system. So will you keep honoring the evolution within you, even when it makes others uncomfortable? Because every time you reveal another layer, you give silent permission for others to remember they are more than the boxes they've been placed in. Number 10. You're breaking physics, because your blueprint was authored before matter existed. Chosen one. Do you realize how often you confuse the world around you? How often your very existence defies the logic and expectations of those still bound by earthly systems? It's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you were never bound by those systems to begin with. Your blueprint was authored before matter existed. You are alignment, not just chasing it. And that terrifies people who live and die by formulas and frameworks. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Chosen one, eternity was woven into your spirit long before you took your first breath. That's why you move differently. While others labor under man-made timelines, you operate on divine timing. Have you noticed how you often skip steps that others insist are necessary? How doors open for you that were supposedly locked? That's not magic, it's divine architecture. Look at Albert Einstein, a mind that operated beyond conventional physics, challenging the very fabric of reality. His insights came from a place beyond textbook knowledge. You, chosen one, are wired the same way. You're not following formulas, you're following frequency. People will call it luck, they will call it trickery. But what they are really witnessing is what happens when someone obeys a higher code. You don't move by sight, you move by knowing, that deep, unshakable knowing that pulls you when everything around you screams impossible. How many times have you trusted that knowing and watched the impossible unfold? For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Chosen one, your obedience to that inner knowing is why your life doesn't fit their scripts. You recover from what destroys others. You manifest outcomes they can't calculate. You move with a grace that short-circuits their systems. And every time you do, you remind them of a reality they've forgotten is possible. Consider Steve Jobs, a visionary whose creations shaped modern life, yet who was constantly told his ideas were impossible. He wasn't following the rules. He was responding to a vision beyond what the world could comprehend. That same visionary frequency pulses through you. So when they stare at you in confusion, when they whisper that your life doesn't make sense, smile. They are witnessing divine alignment in motion. Your peace, your resilience, your speed. They short-circuit the scripts they've been trained to live by. You look like Houdini to them, because they are still trying to measure spirit with physical tools. But as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him. 1 Corinthians 2:9. Chosen one, you are the living proof of this verse. You are not cheating reality. You are revealing what happens when someone remembers where they truly come from. Your life is a living invitation for others to awaken to the eternal blueprint within them. And that is why they stare, not because you are performing, but because you are activating something ancient and sacred that they've forgotten. So, will you keep trusting that knowing, even when the world can't make sense of it? Because the more you do, the more you will become the undeniable evidence that divine design always transcends human limitation. Number 11. You don't perform miracles, you embody them. Chosen one, have you noticed how people stare in disbelief at the flow of your life? How they whisper, try to analyze, or even accuse, simply because things seem to happen for you in ways they can't explain. Here's why. You don't chase miracles. You don't hustle for breakthroughs. You embody them. You've become a living vessel through which divine purpose flows, and that terrifies those who are still trapped in performance. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3:20. Chosen one, when you surrendered fully to your calling, you activated a frequency where miracles became the natural outcome, not rare, dramatic events, but a lifestyle. You no longer chase signs, you live in alignment so deeply that signs follow you. Have you noticed how the right doors open at the right time, how the right people appear, how opportunities align without struggle? That is not luck, that is design. Look at Mother Teresa. Her life wasn't about performing miracles on command. It was about embodying love, compassion and surrender so fully that the miraculous unfolded around her daily. You are moving in that same flow. And this is why people can't comprehend you. They're addicted to hustle. They believe that success must be sweat-soaked and spectacle-driven. But here you are, moving with grace, watching doors open without forcing them. Have you realized yet that this is the power of alignment? You're not performing for miracles, you are embodying the very space where they are birthed. For the kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power. 1 Corinthians 4:20. Chosen one, while others are trying to manifest by formula, you manifest by becoming. You've done the inner work. You paid the price in silence, in seasons of hidden preparation. And now, your public victories confuse those who watched you in private struggle. Isn't it remarkable how your life now looks like what others are striving to attain, yet your striving stopped long ago? Consider Elon Musk, a man whose innovations seem almost otherworldly to many, but behind the technology lies an inner alignment with vision that defies traditional thinking. You too are embodying a vision that was signed off by heaven long before the world understood it. People will try to discredit it. They will say you're lucky, manipulative, or hiding some secret. But the truth is simpler. You trusted purpose over performance. You live so in tune with your divine assignment that the world must respond. Have you embraced this truth yet? That your surrender is your superpower? Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. Chosen one, this is why miracles look like Monday for you. You've stopped trying to earn what you were born to embody, and every time you move in this flow, you terrify those still trying to impress rooms or force outcomes. You remind them that the real secret is not striving, it's surrender. So will you continue to trust that alignment over approval? Because the more you do, the more you will embody a life that speaks louder than any performance. And that is what truly unnerves those still stuck in the game. Number 12, they're scared because you don't need them, and you never did. Chosen one, do you understand the true reason why your absence rattles certain people to their core? It's not what you said, it's what you didn't need to say. It's the quiet, unflinching way you walked away, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in power. They thought you needed them. They thought you leaned on their validation, their praise, their connections. But when you moved without flinching, they saw the truth. You were never theirs to control. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and He helps me. Psalm 28:7. Chosen one, your source was never external. The job wasn't your anchor. The relationship wasn't your identity. The community wasn't your safety net. You were wired to stand, even if it meant standing alone. And now that you've done exactly that, the ones who once believed they held power over you are shaken. Think of Harriet Tubman, a woman who led herself and others to freedom, refusing to bow to systems of control. Her strength wasn't drawn from human approval. It was forged in divine trust. You, chosen one, are moving in that same self-sufficiency. Have you noticed how certain people's energy changed when you no longer chased their approval? When you stopped trying to prove your worth or earn a seat at their table? It's because your silence spoke louder than their expectations. People addicted to being needed can't handle watching someone walk away whole. Your absence hit harder than your presence ever did. Why? Because it revealed they were never the power source they believed themselves to be. For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I was still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. Galatians 1:10. Chosen one, your refusal to play their game exposed the truth they can't unsee, You never needed them to begin with. And now that you're thriving without their applause, the reality is eating them alive. Have you embraced the freedom that comes with no longer requiring external permission to shine? Consider Oprah Winfrey, once underestimated and doubted. She built an empire without waiting for gatekeepers to grant her access. Her independence now stands as a testament to the power of knowing one's worth beyond the opinions of others. You, chosen one, are embodying that same truth. Now they can't guilt you, they can't silence you, they can't exclude you into submission. You cracked the code, you left the board entirely, and nothing terrifies those who feed on control more than someone they can no longer move with guilt or approval. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. Jeremiah 17:7. Chosen one, your confidence in your divine source has made you unshakable, and that is what haunts them. Not your gifts, but the fact that your gifts never needed their permission to shine. So I ask you, will you continue to walk in this freedom, knowing full well that your self-sufficiency will always be a threat to those who seek to control? Because the more you do, the more unstoppable you become. Number 13. You walk through walls they thought were solid. Chosen one, have you ever stopped to notice how many times you've walked through spaces others said were impenetrable? How often you've moved through barriers as if they weren't there? Not because you forced your way, but because you were sent. Understand this, they built walls expecting to contain you. The red tape, the unspoken rules, the old boy networks, these were designed to humble and limit. Yet you walk through as though the walls were illusions. Why? Because for you they are. For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? Isaiah 14:27. Chosen one, you walk with a different kind of authority, not one earned through handshakes or approval, but one granted from the source. That's why systems glitch when you arrive. Have you noticed how those who live and die by man-made hierarchies get offended when you bypass the process they worship? It's because you serve a kingdom that does not operate on their timelines or politics. Consider Rosa Parks, one small woman whose quiet act of defiance shattered a system built on segregation. She didn't wait for permission to sit where she belonged. She moved because the call of justice was greater than the fear of man. Likewise, you don't fight for access, you bring access. You move like someone who belongs because you do, not because of resume or reputation, but because of divine authorization. And that terrifies those who thought they had built solid walls. You walk through them as though they're paper, because for the chosen, barriers become irrelevant. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. Chosen one, you were sent, and when someone is sent, rejection cannot paralyze them. Closed doors do not stop them. Underestimation does not derail them. Every time you move through a door others swore was locked, you remind the world that human systems cannot contain a divine assignment. Have you seen how offended gatekeepers become when you refuse to play their game? Look at Elon Musk, a man who disrupted entire industries, not by playing by existing rules but by rewriting them. His success is a mirror of what happens when vision outruns tradition. You too are moving in that disruptive clarity. So the next time you walk through what others call a wall, remember you are not breaking the rules. You were never bound by them. You walk through because obedience to your calling makes barriers irrelevant. And the ones who worship systems, they will call it blasphemy. Let them. You are here not to impress systems, but to shake them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory. Deuteronomy 24. So will you keep moving with this authority, even when it rattles those clinging to their fragile systems? Because every wall you walk through is a reminder that divine purpose is unstoppable. Number 14. You're a walking exposure, and that's why they're plotting, panicking, and pretending. Chosen one, have you noticed how rooms shift when you walk in, even before you say a word? Conversations change, glances become nervous, fake laughter gets louder. It's not ego, it's the effect of divine clarity. You are a walking exposure. Your presence alone convicts the space. Have you begun to see how this spiritual reality operates? For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Luke 8:17. Chosen one, you carry a frequency that unravels falsehoods. You don't weaponize it. It's simply the byproduct of living in truth. People feel exposed around you because your authenticity mirrors their deception. Your clarity unsettles their confusion. Have you noticed how those who rely on projection become defensive in your presence? Consider Malala Yousafzai. Her courage and clarity exposed the fear and oppression of those who sought to silence her. She didn't preach. Her very life held up a mirror to systems built on illusion. You too carry that mirror. You didn't ask for this. You didn't come to expose anyone. But when your spirit is rooted in truth, everything false begins to unravel on contact. That's why some suddenly avoid you, why certain people who once loved your presence now can't look you in the eye. Have you wondered why some relationships shift when you step deeper into your authenticity? Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Ephesians 5:11. Chosen one, your presence is a light that reveals what others are desperate to hide. Lies crumble around you, masks slip, performances fall flat, and those who depend on illusion for survival begin to panic. That's why they plot, pretend, and create drama, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your clarity is a threat to their constructed realities. Think of Mahatma Gandhi, a man of non-violent presence whose simple truth dismantled an empire. He didn't need to shout. His life itself exposed what others wished to keep hidden. And here's the heart of it. You didn't come to expose them. You came to be yourself. The exposure is simply a side effect of your authenticity. And that terrifies those who have built their identities on illusion. Have you noticed how often they try to distract, discredit, or distort when they can't fool you? You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:4. Chosen one, your light cannot be dimmed, not even by those who can't stand to look at it. So will you continue to walk in this clarity, knowing it will make rooms uncomfortable, because every time you do, you remind others and yourself that living in truth is the most powerful force in any room. Beloved chosen one, pause for a moment and truly hear these words. You were never meant to blend in. You were built by the hand of God to rupture illusions, not to comfort them. Every room you enter, every atmosphere you shift, every lie you expose, simply by being present, it's not an accident. It's divine design in motion. You are not doing the impossible. You are the impossible embodied in human form, carrying frequencies the world cannot define or control. Have you ever wondered why they stare at you like you're Houdini? Why they whisper and watch from the corners trying to decode your steps? It's because they've never had the faith to fully align themselves with their higher purpose, but they are witnessing what it looks like when someone does. Let them call it luck. Let them say it's coincidence. Let them spin their theories. Because what they're really seeing is a living example of what happens when someone stops bowing to fear, tradition, and small thinking and starts moving under divine assignment. You move differently because you are powered differently. You do not run on ego. You run on assignment. That's why what breaks others barely bends you. That's why what takes others decades happens for you in days. That's why walls that stopped others crumble when you approach. That's why the fake ones flee before you even speak. You are not here to play a role written by broken systems. You are here to embody the role heaven wrote for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. And let's be clear, your greatest threat is not your talent. It's not your achievements. It's not even your resilience. It is your clarity. You know who you are. You know where you are going. You know who sent you. And that level of clarity is absolutely terrifying to a world that feeds on confusion. Your independence exposes their dependency. Your peace under pressure exposes their inner chaos. Your obedience to purpose exposes their addiction to performance. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. So yes, they will plot, panic, and pretend. They will mislabel you, misunderstand you, misjudge you. But none of it stops you, because you were never asking for permission. You came pre-authorized. You came pre-chosen. You came pre-coded with a blueprint that was designed before matter ever existed. You are not breaking systems. You are revealing that they were never real for someone operating under divine coordinates. This is why you shake rooms without saying a word. This is why you draw hate without doing harm. This is why you keep winning without playing dirty. Because your elevation is not sourced from man, it is sourced from mission. You don't walk with swagger, you walk with spiritual surveillance, inner authority, and a peace that wages war without lifting a hand. Hear me, chosen one, you were never sent here just to survive. You were sent to disrupt. You were sent to rewire. You were sent to awaken. You don't perform miracles, you embody them. You don't beg for access, you carry it. And as you continue walking through walls they thought were solid, remember this, you are not a mystery, you are a mirror. And that reflection is exactly what this world needs, even if it makes them uncomfortable. Let them stare, let them talk, let them plot. You have already moved beyond it. The blueprint is active, the system is obsolete, and the chosen one, you are just getting started. Now, beloved, if this message hit something deep in your spirit, if it felt like I was speaking words you've carried but never heard voiced, then hear this, you are not alone. This space was created for you, for the chosen, the misunderstood, the ones called to walk a path others will never comprehend. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for walking this journey with me, for spending this time together, for allowing these words to meet your spirit. Your presence here matters. Your light matters. Whether you watch quietly or engage actively, you are seen, you are valued. If you feel led, I invite you to support this space through the Super Thanks button below. Every gift, large or small, is a blessing that helps keep this message flowing to the ones who need it most. And hear me clearly, whether you give or not, I am deeply grateful for you just being here. Your support in spirit means everything. Remember, this isn't just content. This is confirmation. The more we connect, the more this community becomes a place where the misunderstood finally feel seen. Thank you, beloved, for walking this path with me. Now go out there and keep walking through walls because they were never real to begin with. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His countenance upon you and grant you peace. You are chosen. You are unstoppable. You are just getting started. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next message.